Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode for learning module of biology. Before going into details, do subscribe and like our video so that we can keep sharing our knowledge with you. So, let's begin. What if we get to know the probability of disorders in advance, or we will be able to predict the serious diseases in advance, such as cancer, which can harm you? I think it's very mesmerizing and exciting that you will come to know earlier before the disease arises in your body. So, your thoughts may be punching your brain that is it possible? Well, it is possible by very looking at the genetic material. The genetic material is pretty much complicated molecule that exists and is potentially most important for all of us. Now, where this genetic material is housed or where it is present, the question is very interesting. Well, you can see a little molecule blinking and winking the eyes, and you can see a genetic code running inside it, the blue color one. That is basically a genetic material, and this genetic material is present inside the nucleus of every cell and is multiversely awesome because it's so lengthy and tangled inside the mini nucleus. Consider 50 trillion cells in your body that, if laid end to end, the DNA would be stretched to sun around 600 times. Oh my god. Yes, it's mind blowing beauty of the god. So, nucleus contains the genetic information. Genetic information is the information which includes information about different diseases, disorders, condition of family member, your skin color, eye color, hair color, body texture, and all other related information. So, it means the information which is transmitted generation after generation is known as genetic material or genetic information. Now, here it is important that genetic material is hereditary substance of the cell and it carries all the specific information in the form of the DNA or RNA. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid and RNA for the ribonucleic acid in the form of the small packets inside the nucleus. Dear fellows, you can see that inside the nucleus there are very fine thread-like structures. They were known as chromatin. During the time of cell division, these chromatin condenses and results into the chromosome. Those chromosomes contain DNA and proteins inside the nucleus. So you can say the DNA is packed inside the chromosome. Chromosome is basically X-shaped, containing two sister chromatids inside, and it is joined at the point known as centromere. Chromosome is an entire chain of DNA along with a group of stabilizing proteins. You may have seen images showing the DNA trapped inside the chromosome. Sort of like this, you can see it's very fine genre-like structure. You can see there are millions of nucleotides along and often contains hundreds of a gene along its length that are required and the cell is reproducing. Let's give it a recall. Nucleus contain chromatin structures, which are very fine thread-like structures, and when the cell have to divide, these chromatin condense into chromosomes. Chromosome contain a hereditary unit, which is basically the functional unit and contains all the instructions which determine the features such as your eye color, hair color, height, language, your parents, sibling, disease or disorder, family history, everything is included in it. And this gene contains a small segment of the DNA inside and the proteins, those proteins which perform various functions in your body to keep you healthy. So, genes are basically the coding material that code for a protein or the group of proteins. For example, genes are like one child has a blonde hair like their mother, while the other sibling has a brown hair like their father. So, genes determine why some illness run in the families and whether babies will be a male or a female. Any mutation in these genes can result a disorder or some sort of syndrome. For example, in Danushi disease, the protein is not made for muscles. Genes contain DNA, means deoxyribonucleic acid. This deoxyribonucleic acid is basically helical structure which contain 3' and 5' end, and alternatively the other strand will have 5' to 3' end. This DNA is built up of the smaller repeated molecular units known as nucleotide. DNA got its name from 5 carbon sugar, deoxy, a phosphate group, and one of the four nitrogenous bases. The four nitrogenous bases which are present inside the DNA are adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. These nitrogenous bases cannot randomly connect or make pairs. So, thankfully, when it comes to figuring out what part goes where, all you have to do is remember that one nucleotide adenine base only pair up with thymine as a counterpart. Likewise, guanine can only bond with the cytosine. These bonded nitrogenous bases are called base pairs. The GC pairing has three hydrogen bonds, making it slightly stronger than A and T base pair, which has two bonds. It's the order of these four nucleotide bases, that sequence that allow the DNA to create you. Isn't it interesting? So here you can see the level of organization inside the human body. Very first one, the proteins which are made because of the genetic material. Those proteins combine and form up till the cell and the tissue levels, and those tissues form the organ and then the organ system, and then obviously individual. So, how is this possible? You all have stated the DNA structure. So, we need to understand here how the DNA copies itself, because cells are constantly dividing, and that requires a complete copy of all that of the DNA information. It turns out that all our cells are extremely good at this. Our cells can create equivalent 10,000 copies in just a few hours. That is, my friend, known as DNA replication. Every cell in your body has a copy of the same DNA. It started from an original copy and it will copy itself trillions of times over the course of lifetime. That is how the organ systems and the individuals are made. Here is the photograph for an entire set of the human chromosomes taken from a cell right as it was getting ready to reproduce. Your genome contains the entire collection of genes that help you make who you are today. And it's written in between the 23 pairs of chromosome. That's altogether 46 chromosomes. With a very few exceptions, each cell in your body contains all of its copy of your chromosome, your entire genetic code or the genome. Eyeball cells contain or can only use the eyeball genes, the rest are turned off. Liver cells only use liver cell genes, so the rest will be turned off, and so on for each type of the cell. So, one member of each pair of your chromosome came from your mother, and the other one came from your father. So, you are a varied copy of your father and mother. X chromosome resemble the female, while Y chromosome resemble the male. So, if it's XY, that means the son is going to be the offspring. If it's XX, then it's a daughter. If you would like to see more, consider supporting us at Science Insights. So long for now. Stay curious. We will be discussing more about DNA in our next videos.